Caitlin Clark makes WNBA debut. Recap. Highlights as Arike Ogunbowale, Wings Edge Fever. It was a sterling WNBA debut for Caitlin Clark, but in the end, it was Arike Ogunbowale's night. The 6-year WNBA guard had a crossover, step-back three with 3 seconds to go, Clark's signature move for years at Iowa, to give Dallas a 3-point lead. And Clark's three at the buzzer fell short, giving the Wings the 79-76 win over the Indiana Fever in the preseason opener for each team. Ogunbowale has a history of big-time shot-making. She hit game-winning, buzzer-beating 3 seconds in back-to-back games at the 2018 Final Four to lead Notre Dame to the NCAA championship. Ogunbowale finished Friday night's contest with 19 points. The game winner was her only made three-pointer of the night. It was maybe the most anticipated preseason game in the 28-year history of the WNBA, with people all over tuning in to see what Clark would do at the next level. Early on, she put on a show. Clark scored 21 points in her first ever pro game, including 16 in the first half. Clark finished with a solid stat line with 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals, but there's no question she'll be kicking herself about her 5 turnovers. Yalen Brown, a 2020 Cal grad who went undrafted and has spent the last few years playing overseas, led the Wings with 21 points on 7 of 5 shooting. For the Fever, Nalissa Smith scored 20, and Erica Wheeler chipped in 16. You couldn't ask for a better game. Caitlin Clark revels in her WNBA debut. Caitlin Clark has been anticipating Friday night for a long time. The No. 1 overall pick in the 2024 draft put on a show in her WNBA debut, scoring 21 points, 15 of which came from her signature long 3 seconds. The fans loved it, and they were ready for it. College Park Center, which holds just over 6,500 and is located on the campus of Arlington, sold out for the game, unusual for a preseason contest. Tons of fans were in Clark jerseys and t-shirts, sporting both Fever and Iowa gear, and Clark loved it. Asked what she would remember most from her debut, Clark didn't hesitate. The atmosphere, Clark said. I remember my first game in college really well, too. This is a big milestone for me. I've always dreamed of playing in the WNBA. The frenzy around women's hoops right now is unmatched, Clark said. Besides the Dallas-Indiana game Friday night, the Chicago Sky, featuring 2 first-round draft picks, was also in action, playing a preseason game at the Minnesota Lynx. That game wasn't available on WNBA League Pass, though a fan attending in Minneapolis live-streamed the game on their Twitter account, drawing more than 170,000 viewers. In Dallas, fans were treated to a terrific back-and-forth contest that went down to the wire. You couldn't ask for a better game, really, for women's basketball, Clark said. Fever head coach, Christy Sides says Indiana is still learning Clark. Despite Caitlin Clark's 21 points in her WNBA debut, the Indiana Fever dropped their first preseason game of the season against the Dallas Wings on Friday. Head coach Christy Sides, however, looks at the loss as experience for her team. It's just a learning process, Sides said. Learning the rest of our team. And finding out who's playing well and which rotation. Sides acknowledged that Clark was gassed at one point of the game, so much so that she called for a sub. Sides said we can't let her get to that point and have to do what we can to protect her so she's able to go in the fourth. We're just 5 days in with the point guard with Caitlin, Sides said. We're able to put some really good players around her that she doesn't have to work as hard. Sydney Henderson. Minnesota Lynx prevail as Angel Reese makes Chicago Sky debut. In the WNBA's other preseason game Friday night, the Minnesota Lynx pulled away from the Chicago Sky 92-81. The game marked the professional debuts of Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso for the Sky, and Reese nearly had a double-double with 13 points and 9 rebounds, while Cardoso had 6 points and 4 rebounds. But it was the Lynx veterans that stole the show. Nafisa Collier and Courtney Williams scored 17 points apiece for Minnesota, and Bridget Carleton added 12. Lindsey Allen led Chicago with 17 points. Ellen J. Horo. How many points did Caitlin Clark have today? Caitlin Clark scored 21 points in her WNBA debut with the Indiana Fever, but the Dallas Wings prevailed 79-76 in the preseason opener for both teams. Clark shot 6 for 15 from the field, including 5 of 13 on 3-pointers. She also tallied 3 rebounds, 2 assists and 2 steals, but also recorded a team-high 5 turnovers. Final, Dallas Wings 79, Indiana Fever 76. Arike Ogunbowale hit a crossover, step-back 3 with 3 seconds to go to give Dallas a 79-76 lead, and Caitlin Clark missed a tough game-tying shot from the corner at the buzzer as the Wings edged the Indiana Fever in the preseason openers for each team. Caitlin Clark effect, NBA playoffs take backseat to Fever Wings preseason match on X. All eyes are on Caitlin Clark's WNBA debut. The Indiana Fever's preseason matchup against the Dallas Wings coincides with the first-round NBA playoff game between the Cleveland Cavaliers and Orlando Magic, but the NBA's official X account is still filled with Clark highlights. Prior to this landmark season, where the likes of Clark, Cameron Brink, Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese were drafted into the league in front of a record 2.45 million viewers, the WNBA preseason hardly got any fanfare. The same can't be said about this year as the interest in Clark and the women's game continues to soar. I'm literally watching a WNBA preseason game over the NBA playoffs, ex-user at Stock Talks 201 posted. If that doesn't tell you the impact Caitlin Clark is having on women's basketball. Jaylen Brown shining for Wings, Fever leads 62-60 after 3 quarters. The WNBA, with just 144 roster spots across the country, is widely considered the toughest league in the world to make. Realistically, because of salary caps, many teams only carry 11 players instead of 12. Just a few weeks ago, the W held its draft where 36 players were selected. Most of those players won't make a final roster. We always think it's because of established veterans who have been in the W forever, but in truth, those roster spots can also be gobbled up by players who have been out of college a couple years. Jaylen Brown is a great example of that. Brown, who has 19 points through 3 quarters and has helped Dallas pull within 62-60, wasn't drafted out of Cal following her senior season, 2019-20. So she went overseas and honed her craft, and now she's fighting for a roster spot with the Wings. We won't know for a while if Brown will make the final cut or keep up this type of play. But one thing's for sure, this league just got harder to make. Enjoying the content? Subscribe, like, share, and drop a comment to be a part of our amazing community. Your support means the world.